Grant Nicholas of Feeder, welcome to noise11.com. And it's good to see we're going to have you back in Australia soon.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, it's taken us a while, like 14 years or so. It was just like crazy, really. I don't know why, but we've been trying to get back, and finally everything's come into place. And you've managed to do some shows as part of our Far East tour.
Yeah, well, you've basically, I think it's just been twice, isn't it? Has it been 2000 and 2011, the only two times you've been down
Uh,
here?
I think it's been twice with the full band. I came out there on my own to do a lot of promo. I don't know what album it was around. Might And so I got flown out for about a week and went around some sort of doing like radio acoustic and a few TV things. It might have been Comfort in Sound album. Do you know, I'm not sure, but I know it was like a go out and do the promo, then come back and do the gigs. And I don't know if we came back to do the gigs. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah.
But maybe we did, maybe we came back and that was when we did certain stuff. But yeah, I know it's like crazy because we had such a great time there, and good response, and it's just difficult. I think it's just distance and time frame and cost and stuff like that. But and obviously we don't have a label there either. We've been doing it on our own labels, so we used to have a label there. So maybe that didn't help. But anyway, at least we're coming back now. So.
All is forgiven. It's interesting that you've been Grant Nicholas of Feeder for over 30 years now. So you've actually been Grant Nicholas of Feeder longer than you haven't been Grant Nicholas of Feeder.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's we've been going over, yes, I think it's over 30 years now because we started I met John in Wales and we were in bands like growing up, and then I met Taka after. We did have a sort of bass player for a while that was also from Wales. He was an older guy, a great player, but he was just kind of helping us out. And we started to do gigs as a three-piece, and that's when we decided, we need to get a full-time bass player. So after many auditions, I found like Taka, and that's what became sort of a Feeder, Feeder as people know it.
Yes, and considering that, the 30th anniversaries are all going to start to pile up now. You've got a couple of years, 2027 until the 30th anniversary of the first album, Polythene. But there is a Comfort in Sound coming up. So that was the fourth album. So how are you going to be acknowledging anniversaries as you go along?
I'm not sure. I mean, basically, our previous label is owned by BMG now, who also publish a lot of our Feeder's music and, all of Feeder's music. And basically, they've been trying to get us to do like a box set. We put all the albums in a box set. And I didn't really want to do that. I felt like it sort of, diluted it. And I'd rather do each album, pick an album and then do it like properly and like re-release it and, remaster it and, put some work into it. So that's what we're doing. We thought we'd start with Comfort in Sound because it was our biggest selling album. It was one that really crossed over for us. And we felt, we'd start with that one and then maybe work backwards. So we may go back and do Polythene. I don't want to leave it too long because that's quite, those songs, were written when we were a lot younger. So, physically I want to be, still be able to do them and sing them and play them. So, we have talked about doing Polythene. That would be nice to go back and do that one. So if this Comfort and Sound thing works well, we may go and revisit a few of our bigger records, maybe Pushing the Senses and Echo Park as well. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't want to do too many of them because, obviously I'm always writing new music. I mean, we want to do new records as well. So it's kind of like slotting one in between that process, I guess.
Well, Echo Park was 2001, Comfort in Sound 2002. They were both the platinum album. Yesterday Went Too Soon, 1999, and Pushing the Senses, 2005. Yeah. You've got two gold albums there. Is there somewhere in the house where you've got the awards?
Yeah, it's actually at the bottom of my garden. I can see a few of them here now. I've got like a little studio, and they all hang on the wall there. I didn't really want to put them in the house, so everyone walking in, so I sort of hid them away there. But yeah, it's sort of nice to see them. I don't. It's kind of strange because it feels like a different world. When I look at them, because sort of days of selling thousands and thousands of CDs, in your first week of release have kind of gone really, unless you're maybe, I don't know, a K-pop band or maybe like a massive, massive band. But even then, it's it's kind of a different industry. I mean, what is encouraging though is like vinyl has made a bit of a sort of comeback, and we've always done vinyl. But in those days, we didn't do many vinyls, which is why people have been asking, to do like re-releases of things like Comfort and Sound or Polythene because they can't get hold of the vinyls, and if they can find when it's on eBay, and it's usually about like $200 or whatever it is over there, or £150 or even more. So yeah, I do have them, but they kind of live in my studio, which is where I do a lot of the feeder stuff.
Yeah. But I guess those Gold and Platinum Awards represent a time when a music fan would hear a song on the radio and go and buy the record. They'd go to a
Yeah.
gig, they'd like a song, they'd go and buy the record. Those days have gone. I mean, the weekend does not sell anything. It's all
It's
streaming.
all
So
good. I mean, it's a shame because I love the physical, I mean, I think records are pieces of art, and even if you don't listen to them, you can put them on the wall. I mean, I love album covers. I have since I was a kid. Looking at all those, Pink Floyd covers and Led Zeppelin and Beatles and all that stuff. Some really cool covers, and I love all the artists that work with a lot of bands over the years and stuff like that. Photographers and for me, that's all part of the process. We're still quite old school in that, in that respect, and we want to hold on to that because we won't, with that kind of band.
but 500,000 sales of the Covered in Sound album, for instance, in England means that there's hundreds of thousands of people in the UK today that still have that sitting in their collection.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Certainly, yeah. I mean, we're probably more CDs, yeah, than vinyls. So I don't know how many vinyls, we actually made at the time because it was kind of a more bespoke thing then. But yeah, I mean, I don't think actually re-releasing it actually even like dilutes people who've got the original vinyls because it makes those even more, even more collectible in some way, I guess, because they've got the original ones, different color and these will be slightly different as well. So yeah, I mean, I love that physical side. I mean, it's interesting because obviously CD is still the biggest selling thing. It's still more than vinyl. Um, and we do okay on CDs every album that we do, but I mean, it's tiny compared to to what it used to be. But every time I sort of offer to give a CD to a mate or something, they're like, "Oh, yeah, cheers," but I haven't actually got a CD player. I don't think anyone's got any CD players anymore. So, but we're still making these CDs, and it's like it's just like crazy.
How much is in the vault, or is there even a feeder vault?
What, how much music?
Yeah, unreleased music.
Oh God, a lot. Well, there's another album's worth which I held back, which may come out next year. In fact, actually, last couple of weeks I've written about 4 new songs, so they may get added to that list. But then there's quite a lot of stuff that never got used. Not hundreds of songs, but certainly a good handful of songs that didn't get used as B-sides, or I held back, or didn't think it was right for that record, and just didn't ever get used. I'm not sure the exact amount, but there is definitely some stuff hanging around. We've I think we've written over 300 and something songs now for Feeder, so there's been quite a lot out there already. But yeah, I'm sure there is a few hidden gems. I have to see if I can dig some out.
You can ride the reissues well into your 70s, Grant. There's your retirement plan.
Well, maybe, but um, it's quite nice we've only done one B-side album that was like a double album, and it's actually really nice for people to hear those B-sides because I actually think some of our B-sides are some of the album, the more kind of less known songs, actually some of our best songs, but because they never really got the radio exposure or never really got heard by people necessarily diehard fans, they haven't really, been out there. So it's quite nice to maybe, I know some people have been asking us if we do another B-side album. So that could be on the horizon at some point. I don't want to, over milk it because obviously, I love I'm still like really creative and we're still like really, really creative as a band. So we want to still do new records and put out new songs as well. But I think a good mixture of going back to, some of the older stuff and seeing what was there. And it feels like a good time to do it now. 5 years ago, I wasn't really ready. I felt like that was going backwards, but now it feels like it's quite nice to listen back to some of that stuff and sort of reminisce a bit more.
You've had an incredibly prolific period just in the last couple of years. The Torpedo album and then the double album, Black Red. There's so much new music in there that surely that must interfere with how you need to put a set list together when you do your upcoming
Oh,
shows.
oh yeah, it's yeah. I'm not. I'm sort of known for being quite last minute with set list, which like drives our crew mad, I'm sure, my guitar tech and everything, all my different tunings. But it is hard actually. I mean, the good thing about doing the Comfort and Sound, reissue is we're doing 6 shows at the moment in only in the UK at the moment, unless it blows up. But that is the plan. So it's going to be a very exclusive thing. The great thing about doing that is we're playing the whole album from start to finish. So it'll be an easy set list, and then we'll probably do like a little best of at the end.
Mm.
But when you're doing like a festival set or like a new album tour, it's quite tricky because you can't just do the whole new record. I think that's sometimes I know bands do it, and it'd be okay if you did maybe a special night somewhere. Yeah, we do the whole record, but I think on a tour, people still want to hear some of those songs that got them into the band.
Mm.
So yeah, to answer your question, doing a set list is getting harder and harder every record that we put out.
What caused the? Is there a word called prolificness? If there's not a word, I'm making it up right now. What caused the prolificness of those 3 records, or one and double?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it was sort of, obviously I wrote a lot of stuff, during lockdown. So it was a real mixture of all the lockdown stuff. And then we were going to make Torpedo was going to be a double album. Then I got slightly cold feet thinking, oh, is it too old school? Is it too prog rocky to do that in this day and age when it's all about, streaming? And I thought, with that kind of band, if the songs are good and we've got, like a really strong double album, no filler, then let's go for it. And so I decided to wait. And then when we got to the sort of black red stage, there was, what was left over that we didn't use from Torpedo, plus all the new stuff. It just felt like a really strong body of work that all needed to be out at the same time and on the same record. So it's kind of so I guess it's almost become like a trilogy, like Torpedo and Black Red feel like really connected to me because they were kind of written in a very similar time frame. And they all sort of share the same journey in some way, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know if I'll do another double album, unless it was like a compilation B-side one or something. I think that, a double album is quite brave, but I think we pulled it off because it's not overly long and the way that it runs is like 2 separate CDs. So you've got a bit of a break. I had to make it like 2 sort of standalone albums almost, so you can listen to one day and one, like the next day. And that was the plan.
Yeah, there's a lot of the double albums we think about the classics like Fleetwood
Yeah.
Mac Tusk, even
Yeah.
even the Beatles' White Album,
Yeah.
Exile on Main Street, Rolling Stones weren't really double albums by the CD standard. Exile, for instance, fits on one
Yeah.
CD.
Yeah, I mean, albums were a lot shorter in those days, weren't they? They certainly had a lot less songs on them. But yeah, I mean, it felt. I mean, it just felt like a good time to do it. I mean, if we were really struggling, for songs, and it took us like 5 years to make every record, then I'd say, maybe it wasn't the best thing to do. But because there's a lot more stuff already in the can that we're going to be putting out, and I'm still writing, I felt like it was just a nice time to do it. And after being a band for as long as we have, it's nice to try new things and be brave. And I've always sort of admired bands, that do double albums sometimes. I think when you've been around as long as we have, it's quite nice to tick that box, and I feel as though we did it. And I mean, it was really well received here as well. And we were in a really competitive market because it was a bit more expensive than all the other albums out there, but it did really well. So it shows if people really want something, they'll pay that extra money for it. But yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of those 3 records. I mean, there's some of my favorite songs on Torpedo and Black Red that I think I've ever done with Feeder. So um, hopefully it ticks a lot of boxes, for any fans out there that have been with us, from day one.
What about some of the older songs? A song like Buck Rogers. Can you ever not do that live?
Well, we did a tour with Coldplay, and I didn't play it. I refused to play it. And it went great, but we decided I think it was on the last shows, it was at Earl's Court in London, and it was on their album, A Rush of Blood to the Head. So, they were starting to really get big, Coldplay, and we had Comfort and Sound out at the same time. So we were doing like arenas on our own back. So, we were quite a good support band, and uh, we decided just to do on the last show to sort of throw in a few of the songs like, Just Today and Buck Rogers,
Mm.
and the whole place just went off. And I'm like, oh, maybe we should have played these on earlier in the tour. But I think for me, because I think just as a writer, I mean, it's not my proudest moment because it's such a mad, simple little song that I actually originally wrote for another band. and it became this sort of crazy demo that I played to our record company, and they just went, "This is a hit record. You can't give this away." And I'm like, "It's just guide lyrics. It's just a bit of a bit of fun. I'm going to give this song away to this band that are looking for a single." And that is the honest truth. That's how it all came about. So I've I've got a sort of love-hate relationship actually with it. I mean, it did definitely launch Feeder's career into a more commercial market, but just as a band and as a writer, I think we have a lot more as well. But it's a fun song, and you can't complain about it. Every band has got one, and I think if you want to get people jumping around in a festival, those are the sort of songs, and that song certainly does it.
Yeah. Who was the band that you wrote it for?
They were a US band. We were trying to work with a producer called Gil Norton, who I thought was American, but he was actually from Liverpool. And he's based in London, and he did like Foo Fighters, Colour in the Shape. He did three Pixies albums, Echo and the Bunnymen. He was a really he's a really successful UK indie rock producer, I guess. He's worked with everyone, like Patti Smith, everyone. And he was working with this band, and his wife was a fan of Feeder. I think she was trying to get him to work with us. Anyway, something happened where Feeder's name came up, my name came up. This band he was working with, I think they were called SR71 or something, if I remember correctly. They're a US band, and I think they were maybe looking for something, or he was looking for something for them. So that's how that song came about. It's just incredible that I wrote something one night in my flat after too much wine. Woke up in the morning with that, and then it became this quite a big hit. And
Wow.
it wasn't even meant to be for Feeder. But I do wonder whether I had given it away, because the plan was, here it is, here's the song, the melodies, and they could rewrite the lyrics and stuff like that. It was just guide lyrics, and but I do wonder if they'd taken the song as it was, as we did it, would it have been a hit for them?
Yeah. Well, here we go.
You know?
SR71 from Baltimore, Maryland, formed in
Oh, there you go.
1998, had the hit single Right Now and the single Tomorrow in 2002. So,
Okay, I don't even know if they're even aware of it. It may be one of those things where it may have been done through management, and they were thinking. But anyway, we got to work with Gil Norton because
yeah.
that's how we met on the back of that. So that was our kind of way in to meet Gil. So it kind of worked out well. But look, I mean, that song was very inspired by the Pixies, and you can hear it. And I was trying to do a song because I knew Gil was working with them. So I suppose I was thinking, oh, there's got a bit of a Pixies vibe. He's going to like it. He's going to work with Feeder after. So it was all that going on. But you know what? It was a long time ago. But we're still playing it, and we will be playing it there, of course.
Yeah. Well, Grant, great to catch up with you. Looking forward to seeing the shows in a few weeks. You are
Yeah,
from Newport, South Wales, which sounds like New South Wales. So we
yeah.
do consider you an Australian.
Yeah, but look, I mean, what I would say is, if you like the band, I don't know when we'll be coming back, unless there's like demand. Of course, we'll come back. But I'm saying that this might be your only chance here to see us here for a while. So if you're on the fence, come and see it. It's gonna be a great night. You'll see Feeder in a more intimate environment, and we just have a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, mathematically, there was 11 years between the first, 14 years between the second. So theoretically, you'll be back in 17 years.
Yeah, I'll probably be a little bit too old to be playing some of these songs if that's the case. So come to see us. But I think we'll be back sooner. But I would say get a ticket if you're interested in the band, because it'll be worth it, and you never know.
Well, great to talk to you, Grant. Enjoy your trip down to Australia.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right,
Thanks
all
for
right, take
joining us at
care.
Noise 11.